Yo, ¿qué pasation YouTube? Back with some more science. So I'm gonna build a enclosure for this Kicker Comp R12 dual 2-ohm, and I'm gonna walk you guys through. We'll show you guys my process for this. So I've got WinISD here. I'm not gonna go too far into it as far as how to enter the TS parameters and everything, the specs of the woofer. There's other videos out there, but if you guys leave a comment and want me to go more in depth, I could do that. So basically this is what I came up with. 2.35 cubes, 34 hertz, and it's gonna be peaking at around 46 hertz. My zero is gonna be 33, and my F3 is going to be 28.9, so 29. And then anything below that drops off pretty rapidly. My cone excursion, look at that real quick. We'll see about 800-ish watts, or yeah, around 800 to 900 watts. Now mechanically, it'll be under that red line, so we should be okay. And 28 hertz is when we're gonna start to bottom out, according to WinISD. 27, 28. So that's just mechanically though, so it might not be the best for heat dissipation, you know, because it's still gonna get that coil really hot. This just gives you mechanical limits pretty much. So we'll go to rear port velocity. We're at about 20 at 31, 21. Okay, so that's good. And I have 38 inches squared of port area, 32.5 inches long, 2 5/8 wide, the opening, and then 14.5 inches tall. So this just gives me an idea of how to design some parameters to go off of for the box design. So then I move on to Subboxpro. So on Subboxpro, first thing is the tuning frequency is off, right? So I trust this port length on WinISD more than I trust this, and it's about a 1 hertz off. So see how I have this at 33, and then on WinISD I have it at 34, and the port length pretty much matches 32.5, 32.5 almost. So it's about a hertz off. So if you're using Subboxpro, bring it down at least one hertz, and then you'll be, you know, pretty much have a better idea where you're at. And then for my box volume, I'm trying to stay with these measurements here because I have a lot of scrap wood right now, and that's pretty much what I have to work with, is these measurements here. So that's why I went with a 2.35, and with this tuning frequency and port area. And basically that's what the enclosure will look like, and it gives you a cut list of everything. So the quantity and where they're gonna go. So top and bottom, you make 2 cuts at this, and I usually round up to the nearest 16th, and I write down a cut list myself. I just round up to the nearest 16th. And then here's your material thickness, your external measurements, and tuning frequency, which is 1 hertz off, so it's 1 hertz higher, and your port opening, you know, all of your main measurements there. And and that's basically it. I just write down all my numbers, so I round up to the nearest 16th, and that's it. Then we'll get started with cutting and all that stuff. What really matters is straight cuts, you know, so you get the proper fit up, because the wrong fit up will cause air leaks, the longevity of the box, it'll just cause all kinds of problems. Assembly will be more difficult, and you're gonna spend more time sanding, trying to get it all flat. But if you have a way to for sure get straight cuts, then you know, this is a skill saw. It's not expensive, but it's really accurate. Really easy to use. Great investment if you are like me and just like experimenting with different subwoofers. And then obviously I build custom boxes for customers. So that's definitely something you need. But if you're just doing this on your own, you could invest in a jig for your circular saw, right? That's about 40-50 bucks, and you'll know you'll get pretty straight cuts with that. I still use it sometimes for bigger sheets like those, if I need to cut those down. They don't fit too well on this cutting table, so I'll get the Kreg jig, or the Kreg jig. Yeah, Kreg jig something. I'll put a link to this tool in the description. Okay, so real quick, this is my setup. Got the vacuuminator for the suction and the tornadoinator for the dust collection. All right, pretty easy, you know. Just set this up where you want to cut. I mean, I'm sure if you have a table saw, you already know how to use it. But that's my setup. My work table kind of clapped out like my car, but that's okay because it hasn't fully broken yet. It's a little wobbly. I guess that's more clapped out. Yeah, she's pretty clapped. But anyways, so these are the scrap pieces I was talking about. So 23 by 19 and a half. Got 23, 19 and a half. And these are already cut, obviously. So I don't gotta mess with those. So my next cut, 23 by 14 and a half. So here's a really good tip that I learned pretty quickly, is do these cuts first, because they're all different, and then do these at the same time. So you know that these are all gonna be exactly the same. Because say you do a 19 and 5/8, then you do 14 and a half, then you know, you move your measurements, your table saw to, let's say 9, then you gotta move back again to 14 and a half, and it could be like a 32nd or a 16th off, but that little bit that it's off could save you or add a lot of time, add a lot of sanding. You know, your fit up is just gonna take way longer. So everything's cut up, just doing a dry fit, making sure everything is perfectly flush, which it is. Even my 45s here, my braces on the front baffle. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is 3/4 inch MDF. All right, not that it really matters, but that's what I'm using. So I at least add 45s to the front baffle to add strength, and I mean, I guess supposedly helps with airflow. I mean, I don't know, to each their own, but I always add them at least to the front baffle to give it strength. Oh, nice. Anyways, then I add these little baffles here on the front, or braces on the front baffle, to give it even more strength, and I bring those pretty close to where the cutout's gonna be. So port is put together. While that dries, I have the front clamped down right now to the bottom. So now I'm just gonna take a brad nail gun and give it one of these. Yeah. And right here. Yeah. There you go. And basically every about 4-5 inches, you're gonna add a brad nail, and you're gonna wanna leave it clamped for at least a few minutes while it somewhat dries. And don't be the guy that adds like 5 gallons of glue to each joint and it's running down everywhere, because that's unnecessary. You just need enough to get in that joint and glue what you need to glue together. That's it. You don't need to put all kinds of extra glue, because that does nothing. It does absolutely nothing but waste glue. So got the Gorilla Glue, the Chango, and then yeah, that's it. Just basically clamp everything, glue and brad nail, and it's a pretty easy process. So while this dries now, I'm gonna hit the, damn, look at that fly. That's a big boy. Damn, boy. Look at you, dude. Look at this motherfucker. Look at the, oh, fuck. Alright, anyways. So I'm gonna round over this here on both sides, and then I'm gonna round over this corner here. So I rounded it all over, right? Both ends over here. Got my DeWalt. 3/8 round over. Pretty straightforward. And then, so you wanna measure from here to the edge, so 3.5. So you wanna make sure you have that throughout the port. So up at the top of the port, or the far side, 3.5. Come around to the back, and you need that same 3.5 over here. So 3.5. Same over here, 3.5. So once you know that you have the port positioned exactly, you just hit it with the Sharpie, and now you know exactly where you need to set this port, where you need to lay down the glue, and where to mark on the back side. So when you put the brad nails through this side, you're not gonna miss the port. You're gonna get it perfectly in the center. So for that, pretty easy. Just come around to this edge, and it looks like 4 inches is centered, close to centered. Maybe go 3 7/8. But 4 inches should be good, so that's what I'm gonna go with. So same here, 4 inches, 4 inches. So now just gotta flip the enclosure around. So do that real quick. Okay, so now we got it flipped. So from this corner, 4 inches in, from the back, 4 inches in. So one measurement I forgot to mention earlier was where the port ends, right here on the back. So I measured in, it's about 7 inches to the end of this port right here, just so I know not to nail anything here, because it's just gonna be a waste. It's gonna go nowhere. So yeah, I made a mark here, made a mark here, and then just put a straight edge, and same thing here. So pretty straightforward. Now I know exactly where I need to put my nails, and then gotta do the same thing to the top. Mark that out. You can do that later though, or you can do it now, up to you. But same thing, 4 inches in on either side, and 7 inches from this corner to the corner of the port. So that's that. We'll get the port mounted, or get the port glued and nailed in right now. So we'll cut to that. So we're just gonna put in enough amount of glue, nothing crazy, just enough, not 5 gallons. Mark, then come up on the wall, on the front baffle. Okay, and then just kind of dab it with your finger. Make sure you get 100% coverage, like Verizon Wireless supposedly, but who knows? Heard that guy left Verizon for Sprint or whatever. Can't trust nobody. So just like that. Perfect. And then just get your port, line it up perfectly. There you go. Make sure this corner's lined up. Then you get a clamp and just clamp down on the port right here. So I usually start, and then there we go, nice and tight. Make sure we're good here. Wipe off the excess. Yeah. Go. Just bottom one a little better. Go. Okay. So that's perfect. So now I don't really have a way to clamp this part of the port down because I don't have a clamp that sticks out far enough to clamp it. So what I usually do is I just push down with my fat ass, put all my fat weight on there, get it nice and squished. Make sure that's lined up still. Okay, perfect. Then get the brad nail gun and give it one. Give it ya. Bam. Same thing here. Yeah. Perfect. Then I'm gonna flip it over so that the port is on the. Just flip it upside down, and then brad nail it on the mark that I made on the backside as I push down on it. Damn, fool. Slow down. 25 miles an hour, man. Anywho's, yeah, I'm gonna flip that over, push down on it, nail it. I'm done with that part. Okay guys, so that's gonna be the end of this video. The video was gonna be like an hour long, so I had to split it into 2 parts. So just be on the lookout for that. And as always, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.